Conche. My name is Tracie Léost. My spirit name is Golden Eagle Woman, and I am Red River Métis from St. Laurent, Manitoba, the longest living Métis community located in Treaty 1 territory, the heart and homeland of the Métis Nation. I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Treaty 1 territory, and I currently live in Oakville, Ontario, uniquely located in Treaty 14 and 22. I grew up closely connected to my community. It was a place that was always familiar to me, somewhere I was often, and somewhere that I was really the most grounded in my identity. My decision came, my dad went to college, so did my mom, but no one in my family had gone to university. So I became the first in my family to attend university and then graduate from university. And that choice of leaving my community was so that I could chase my dreams. And that in chasing those dreams, I always knew that I could come back to my community and that my community would always be there. And it surely wasn't going anywhere. But leaving wasn't an easy decision. But I knew that, like my dad and like many others, that if I wanted to pursue all of those things that I was dreaming about, it meant I'd probably have to leave my community for a while. Scary. It meant leaving behind my family, in some ways my community, and also in some ways my culture, because how I knew my identity was connected to my community and not outside of that. So it was really scary, not knowing anyone, but then you had to figure out grocery shopping and paying your phone bill and getting a job and like a new laundry machine because I had used the same one my whole life and now it was coin operated. And there was all of these different learning curves. But I wouldn't change anything about that scary journey. I learned a lot about like my independence, but also just gaining confidence, finding routine. There's also a bit of freedom where you get to decide like what actually works for you. No one was rushing me to do my laundry or clean my room. So there's lots of parts to it. It was really scary, and I'm really glad that I did, though. I don't regret anything, and I don't think I would actually do any part of it differently. It worked out really well for me. I was connected with the Indigenous Student Center in my second semester, but in the first year. And I think what I would have wished for was to find that connection a lot earlier on. I remember moving into my dorm and someone knocking on my door, and because I self-identified as Indigenous, they were going around like introducing themselves to the Indigenous students who were moving in. So I knew who these people were, but I didn't know where to find them. So I didn't find them until second semester. And my grades kind of will show you too that once I had in-person supports on campus and started making friends, that really started to turn around for me. That was a really big part of finding my circle there. It's something that takes time though, and it doesn't all happen. It's trial and error. I also think that support from Indspire, though that wasn't like there in person with me every day, being a scholarship and bursary recipient was a different kind of support that then connected me to an organization that was doing so many things on so many different levels, that all of that helped as well. It was definitely a learning journey, and I think what I've learned is you never actually lose your culture or your identity. And just because I couldn't go hunting or fishing or be on the land the same way that I used to, doesn't mean that I couldn't find a new way to do that. There was an elder in university that taught me that you carry your bundle with you wherever you go, and that doesn't have to even mean physical things. So for example, I started going to ceremonies a lot in university, and that really helped with my connection, but you also just couldn't go to a sweat lodge at any time of year, at any time, or kind of when you needed it. It required like planning, there needed to be one, you'd have to drive there, kind of all of the things. But that same elder taught me that the place that you get to in ceremony, you can recreate anywhere. And for me, I could recreate that like state of mind and kind of like level of peace in my car, driving on the highway, listening to the songs that would be like sang or sung in ceremony. So it was really just about finding how to do that differently. I couldn't go fishing, but I lived by like a beautiful trail, and I really loved being by the water, and I found a community nearby where I could do kind of all of those same things. It also, though, made coming home something really exciting and something to look forward to. And since moving away, like it's actually gonna be about 10 years now, approaching 10 years that I've moved away for the first time, that I've never taken kind of going back and visiting for granted, and it's always something really exciting and something that I cherish now. But it was really just about, finding how to replicate that in the spaces I was in, finding people, places, and just fitting it in kind of where I could. And that doesn't mean I got it perfect right away, but I figured it out. But my advice would be to really just like take it all in and not let the excitement or like the anxious feelings take away from socializing or making friends. Like really do all of the things. When there's like networking activities and games and trivia nights, like do all of the things that your school is offering, because they are intentionally there for you to make connections. But I think advice would also just be reassurance that I'm really like proud that she made those decisions and she stuck through it. And a lot of times it would have been easier to just like pack it up and take it back to home and my community that was comforting. But I would tell her not to and kind of just stick it out. And there's a lot of resilience that I built in those lessons. My last piece of advice, I think, would be to literally take it day by day. And that might look different every day, but taking it one day at a time, however that may look. And I also learned in university that if the only successful thing I did that day was like get out of bed and breathe, then that was a win. I think my advice would be just take it slow, and you don't have to rush or make any rash decisions, but also make good choices and feel proud about those choices. And I would want people in those same positions or wondering those same questions to take your time. You don't have to rush those decisions, but it can be really scary leaving your community and the most comfortable place where it's kind of just, it's what you know. So leaving what you know can be really scary, but your community is not going anywhere. And your community would be very proud to welcome you back with the certificate or the certification or the degree or whatever it may be. And making those decisions and seeing it through really is a lot more than just you. It really positively impacts the people around you, your family and your community and your nation as a whole. And that feels like a lot of pressure at times. I definitely know what that feels like. But also that you're not in those decisions alone. You're not the only person who is debating whether they should do it. You're not the only person worried or scared. And not every person's gonna go with you too. And your friendships will change and your family dynamics may change over time. But I think those journeys are meant to happen, and you will always, I think, learn really valuable lessons, even if at the time it feels like it probably really sucks. It all really helps, but your community will always be there with open arms, cheering you on, supporting you, and welcoming you back. And if you decide to go and that space isn't for you, or that program or whatnot, you can always try again. So I think don't take those decisions lightly, but I would really encourage anyone kind of navigating those spaces, that I think that you belong in those spaces and you'll do really well in them, finding yourself there.